that?
Oh, never been in that room.
They're fucking retarded.
What?
Wait, explain.
The dynamic changes so quickly. You get critical
Oh man, they're so fucking retarded.
mass.
It's
What
really
happened?
hard to be in those rooms.
They are all so stupid. Every room, every tiny chat I've been in.
So wait. You're saying
Fucking
not only are they retarded, but they're also stupid.
believe it or not.
It is possible to be both.
What makes them stupid is that they're so unaware of their retardedness.
So,
Yeah.
What makes them retarded?
Holy shit!
or what if
Nick,
it's
called
among
a
retarded
retarded.
there's
It's
a scale of
actual
intelligence, and
retarded
they're on the
people.
lower end? I don't know.
You'll make a really, really good point.
They're on the higher end of retardedness. Retardedness.
Yeah,
Highly.
even retarded, even like actually retarded people could probably score higher than them on an IQ test. Let's be real now. So chances are they're probably really stupid.
highly functional autistic people.
I'm totally just gonna not say that they're retarded and say that I just don't find them stimulating. But I'm probably retarded, so it doesn't.
Stimulating where exactly?
It's a good way to start anything that you say. So, I'm probably retarded. How are you doing?
Yeah, it gets me by like well in my.
Oh, it makes you buy, huh?
What happened?
What?
I'm gonna need you to stop private messaging me on Facebook. Messaging
No,
dirty things on Facebook.
no.
But what is he messaging you?
Pictures of his butthole. It's weird.
They do it.
Cool.
I mean,
My ex told me it looked like a bunch of Play-Doh.
Okay.
That would be the
Was
shit
that
coming
a-
out of it.
a fisting relationship or what?
What relationship isn't? But what is Tiny Chat? I don't even know what that is.
It's a fisting site.
We're gonna find a hat.
People fist each other
I
on
don't know what it is.
Think of this hat.
makes it look
Anyway,
bald.
so tell us a story. Get on with it.
Oh, I found the hat.
Nick, tell us a story. What happened? Why are they retarded? We need to know more.
Honestly, they're just boring and they think they're right about a lot of things.
How retarded.
It's exactly it, and you'll make a good point, and it'll completely just not even be taken in or understood or looked at, and their ignorance will keep just blossoming off
There's
their
a lot of
point.
like groupthink going on.
It's the hat I went with.
And it's not anywhere near like. All of a sudden, I feel vindicated as a boisterous ENTP who talks over people occasionally.
Nice.
I'm a saint compared to those motherfuckers.
Dude, just accept it, man.
Welcome to the ENTP trials of life.
Are you drinking liquor or is that water or what's going on?
It's in like a water bottle, but it's milk vodka.
Noise.
Money vodka. I don't know. I got it at the bargain outlet. It's like $5. Pretty good. On it. Look at us. Look at us. All the NPPs just eating stuff, playing with our mouths.
Hey, chill.
Ridiculous.
Just eating something, but no.
I'm the evil ENTP. Have you heard about me?
Yes, I have. You guys are supposed to be like
Don't flatter
really-
yourself.
you guys are supposed to be like bad boys and shit. Supposed to be like edgy and shit.
Yeah, why do you think I'm drinking Diet Coke straight from the 2-liter, bro? Ain't nothing more badass than that.
You're crazy, man.
We were talking before, there were like no ENTPs in the room really. We were talking about alpha males and how ENTPs seem to be overly concerned with the concept of alpha maleness.
It depends on their Enneagram.
Yeah, but it's
But not
also,
really. Yeah, we are.
I've seen all Enneagram types be concerned with it, of ENTPs. So it's mostly just experience based. I don't have any evidence that it's an ENTP thing. Just a common trend.
What's the most alpha male Enneagram? Jim?
I think 8 probably, but then if someone's like compensating 8, I'll say, then it looks pretty obvious that they're like not alpha at all.
I've never met anything besides Audra, but I don't think she's a. Are you a Dom 8?
Audra, are you an alpha male?
Yeah, Audra's an alpha male.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah, she
If
was.
Audra was a man, she would be getting all the. Okay, no, I'm not.
I should have just
that.
said alpha-ness instead. Sorry, Audra.
I'm an 8, Dom.
You,
Well-
Sensitive Neptune.
Here's why you're wrong, Neptune. I'm not concerned with alpha maleness because I know I am the alpha male wherever I'm at.
yeah, but how can
Yeah,
you know
see, an
that?
alpha male does not concern himself with pretending or showing off that he is an alpha male. He merely
of all-
knows.
First of
I
all,
don't-
I think this comes back to what it was to me that Ash says, like, that ENTPs are all Jesus or whatever, and we're never going to agree on anything beyond that.
Yeah, I don't need your input. I also don't.
Like, we all know that we're the best, and, yeah.
And also,
You're not going to convince us otherwise.
I don't do the things that other people that try and fake alpha male do.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, it's just a theory and a pattern, and not every ENTP fits into it, obviously. But
Do I?
I don't know. You just said you didn't, so I'm gonna.
I'm looking at. I'm understanding how you're interpreting things.
So here's why you're right.
Do I think that you view things in terms of hierarchy? Probably a little bit. When somebody asserts themselves as alpha in some way, I think that instinctually, but that could just be because you're independent. Who knows? And you don't like anyone asserting themselves over you. But who knows? I can't ultimately tell you what your motivations are for doing things. Your
Well,
motivations,
that's not what I was asking. I was asking how you interpret.
your behavior.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's. I think that ENTPs in general are more likely to. I've noticed they're more likely to challenge other. The males in here are more likely to challenge other males as opposed to the females, and then it's also more aggressive, which could be because they think that the guys could handle it, or it could be because that it's a pissing contest and they're trying to challenge the other person's alphaness.
You gotta shut that down. That's annoying.
Yeah,
But
I'm,
what about me, Neptune?
Wait, what are you saying is annoying, Mark? Sorry.
When someone asserts dominance in a group, I hate that.
It's
Yeah, no, I agree.
Especially when the
I
person's
think same
moron.
thing.
I was about to say that you know, just thinking about this, I would say that some people are more concerned with not having anyone over them, and some people are more concerned about having people below them.
or not
Yeah.
even below, but just like other people putting people below them. That's what I don't.
No, I
like.
think eights are actually. I'm just like throwing this out there. Like more eight-ish might be. It's more concerned about definitely not having people over us.
Yeah,
And
I agree with
people
that.
want, and then there are other people out there that do seem to be more
Stop
about.
yelling at me, Mom.
It's focused the other direction, right?
But you also have to think that, like,
And they annoy me the most. and
if you're
possibly
thinking
other
about
people.
things that, like, if you're constantly worried that someone's trying to be over you in some way, then you might conflate one behavior with someone trying to, sort of one-up you in some way, when really they're just not doing that at all. So it kind of, like, makes things bigger in that person's head when no one's actually...
You just one up, and then you don't have to worry about it.
yeah. For me, it's weird because I'm a 7 with a 6 wing, so my 8 wing just like does whatever the fuck it wants and then manifests itself out onto the world. So I only see it externally, which I've just been realizing recently. So I see.
I don't understand wings at all. Can you explain that?
They use them to fly.
Yeah, it's like pelicans. Pelicans, a bird. They've got wings.
How they use their mouths. They channel air through their
So
mouth.
when you have both wings, you're Batman.
Mm.
There's your Enneagram number. You have on either side of that, those personalities are gonna. There's different theories about how it works, just like everything with personality. But
Well, yeah, I mean, I know the tri-type. I just understand the wing bit.
Wings, like whatever your number is, there's the number that's next to it, and then the number that's next to it on the other side, and generally one of them influences. Wait, you have an Alaska shirt on? Oh, he's muted.
Basically, like, for example, if you are a 7 with an 8 wing, 7 wants to play, 8 wants to be in charge, more or less. And so a 7 with an 8 wing will be, if you try to take away or interfere with their fun having or their play, they'll buck up real quick and fight you about it until you leave them alone to go have their fun again.
Whereas I'm a 6, and I'll just be like, "Oh, I'm sorry."
I look at wings as like which end of the spectrum of that core type are you? So like
Yeah.
so it's like
Back to the Alaska shirt. You're wearing a shirt that says Alaska on it.
Oh, yeah. My parents visited Alaska, and then they gave this to me after.
and where
Nice
are you?
try. Alaska doesn't exist.
My shirt says Alaska on it.
Oh,
I'm from
Everybody
Alaska.
knows it doesn't.
What are
Everybody
you-
knows it doesn't exist, dude.
Oh, I'm born there.
I mean, nice try. You're not gonna get me.
Wait, where are you from? INTP, Zach?
Born there.
Colorado.
Okay.
So,
Cool. What part of Colorado are you from?
Well, I actually grew up in the. Are you familiar with like the Roaring Fork Valley and like? Do you know where Aspen, Glenwood, Carbondale?
it's
That valley.
INTP.
Right. So
Cool.
I lived in Old Snowmass growing up. I don't know if you know where that is. It's like kind of near Aspen, but like not in the expensive, like, you know, not in the city or anything. It's like out kind of like near the ski areas, like, but out of the way. You know, there's like a summer camp there.
Yeah.
That my parents ran. And then after, like, when I was like around 13, I moved to like an area that's up the Crystal River Valley, which is just like an offshoot that comes off like the Roaring Fork Valley, and it's all in that kind of same area.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm from Buena Vista. I don't know if you know where Buena Vista is. It's by Leadville.
Oh yeah.
Like,
I don't spend a lot of time over there, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, these days I'm in, over to go to college. I ended up going over to the east side of the mountains, basically. So I've had to get out of all of that. Unfortunately, it's nice up there. No pollution, well, comparatively.
Yeah, the west side of the state's way better, I think.
Yeah, I mean, well, because there's like Denver and then all these other manufacturing places, all along, and plus like smog gets like trapped on the mountains and stuff. It's kind of gross. But.
Yeah, Denver's really been growing recently too.
Weed.
Yeah, how much of that pollution is, vaped and smoked?
Hey, I wouldn't call it pollution, my man. Call it air freshener.
Cool.
Well, if it was being realistic, like the majority of that stuff that would be in the air would probably be like resin hits. That's the stuff that really leaves that black shit.
We're not being realistic. Yeah. God forbid realism. I asked someone on Tinder, "What's your favorite question?"
And
they said, "I don't know. I haven't thought about it. What's yours?" And I was like, "That's a pretty good one." I don't think they got it. And then they were like, do you want the rest of this food? I was like, that's all right.
Tinder game A fucking plus.
Tinder game. No Tinder game whatsoever.
Too good, dude. Not too good, dude. Bro, if you use that on me, I'd fuck you. How about that?
I think that's the problem.
yeah, but like male to male hookups are like way easier. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
whenever I'm craving some boy pussy, it's like literally go on the internet, like, and just like first person you like talk to, if they're like hot enough, it just like happens. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it just happens because
If
it's like,
you're in England, you just
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
Very hard to find your sense of value in the gay community in that way.
Well, it's because it's not like
nobody's
relationships.
actually valued that much. You
I
can
was doing that
literally have sex with like anyone.
Right, and it obviously causes like a problem for people that like. There's people that get on there and they're like, "I'm looking for a relationship," and it's like, okay, But for the most part, it's like people that are DTF.
Dude,
I was just thinking of
relationships
this
are stupid.
conversation starters. What's your favorite question? I don't know.
I don't know. Actually, I don't know. Like my favorite type of question I could say is like one where I ask somebody to define something that is like really basic, but is like really hard to have a definition for. So like, for example, like earlier I asked the question like, define objective, right? Or like, define God, like that kind of thing. Something that people are like, I think I understand what that is. Right?
Yeah.
And then having them actually like, wait, I don't know. Like,
yeah.
What? Like,
But it's kind of boring if they don't try.
yeah.
I mean, just the moment where they realize that they don't know.
Well, I do like them to try because if they give me, I want them to give me like a surprising answer that makes me reevaluate like a lot of things, But
Like, what is God?
Well, because it's also like a good starting point for any kind of conversation because like if they define something, then you can have a much more detailed and precise conversation and like nail down something that is not normally talked about because no one had like agreed upon definitions. They were operating under like approximate agreed upon like things that they thought they knew what the other person was talking about, but really they were talking about like different things.
You can also tell by if someone prefaces it with like, I personally believe, as opposed to like asserting like, well, God is obviously this.
Right, or it's like, for the purpose of this discussion, let's define God sometimes, Or
that sounds good in theory, but like, good luck finding anybody that wants to talk about that on a first date, or especially over.
No.
I define God. Like, that would scare me away. I don't care how hot she is. Define God. No. Me.
Who's the guy in the black shirt? Has he been on before?
No, he's new.
Who?
Got the headset.
There's two guys. Are you talking about Ace with the black shirt?
No, yeah, the guy in the black shirt with the headset. Sorry.
Hey, I'm not black, dude. I'm dark skinned.
He doesn't know anything about MBTI.
A white jacket.
He's an ESTP.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
Got him.
Not an insult. I fucking love ESTPs.
I don't think it is. I see. That's the thing. I don't think any type is an insult. You can think, well, I'm whatever type you want.
I only say that because other people think that. I don't think at all.
I think it's ridiculous.
He's like, I don't care. I don't have an attachment to any type. Okay.
I mean, if anything,
he doesn't know what his type is.
I'm just jealous of ESTPs because they actually do stuff, and I just sit in my room and think sometimes.
To me, if you get offended by being called one type or another, I think you've invested too much in built up. You've invested too much of who you are in whatever personality type you identify as.
Yeah, I think it's a poor idea to have your primary sense of identity be your Myers-Briggs type. I think that's a little bit setting yourself up for some unhealthy expectations.
I've been thinking about it as an analogy of like height. It's like your personality type is essentially your height. It's like if you're 6'5" and then all of a sudden you find out that
getting mad puss, dude.
That there's other people that are 6'5" and you bump into the same things with your head and you have to duck down at similar times. It's like that's kind of nice. It doesn't say that you have to play basketball or
Right.
that like you're not smart or something. It's just how you are. How you
Weird but effective.
I think it's strange though that people are more scared of not being one type than they are of easily being able to be like defined by the box that is a type.
Yeah.
You know, like
It's not a
why
box,
would
it's a cluster, mate.
Well, it depends on how you're approaching
box of
it, yes.
clusters? Yeah.
Not boxes, it's clusters.
It's definitely a box of sorts.
Like there are limitations to like
Can
how
be
much
a
of a
box.
person's personality you can describe with the machinery. Yeah.
She's a Terminator.
So
It's basically saying like how likely are you to fit into this box over other boxes. But in response to Audra.
Oh, that's good. Stop.
What'd you say?
it's having way too much fun over there.
I'm trying to figure out what's the coolest hat position. This is kind of tight. This is like a Chance the Rapper. Like, yo, what's up?
Have you tried backwards? 'Cause
Oh, that's tight too. Down.
no, like,
Nice.
This is kind of cool. This is like,
you should like pull your hair out of like that little.
dude, my
hole
cousin
there.
owns a
Yeah,
mechanic.
pull some hair out the tuft, like the gap, like on that. Yeah, definitely.
Not what I was expecting.
No, me neither. Try that again.
Magnus.
That's worse. Neither.
Magnus.
Over it.
What up?
Hey,
Tumblers. Okay. I'll bite.
you met the new
Oh.
Uh-huh. That was
Do you
funny.
drink how many liters of Diet
Yours.
Coke do you drink per day?
Well, first of all, I use freedom units called gallons.
Okay, second of all.
There isn't a second of all. Americans can't count. We have bad education.
Even our teachers don't. Like that's the problem. The teachers don't understand it. They can't teach it.
They understand it in just in a different way.
Well, in like I memorized this multiplication table.
Oh,
Kind of way.
this is, so I was thinking like just letting certain things come back from school and irk me in different ways. And one that I got the most pissed about was how they make you draw graphs, right? Or like line charts, whatever. And I got points taken off for not having arrows at the end of the line. Like I know it fucking goes to infinity. I don't need an arrow there to tell me
Well,
infinity.
that actually becomes really important later in calculus. So that maybe they were trying to like prepare you, because like you arbitrarily define like directions and stuff. And so, but the thing is, you only need to put the arrow in the positive direction. You don't need to put it on the other side. So if
it
you
doesn't
do,
matter anyway because like you understand the axis. It's their symbolic.
Yeah. Shh.
well, it's like the idea is that if you gave it to like a Chinese mathematician, that they would be able to understand the system you're working with. If you don't put the arrows, you're actually designating that the space you're dealing with is finite rather than infinite, which actually makes a difference. It's like a symbolic. There's like a formalism that's like agreed upon among mathmaticians. That
You're a
Yeah,
Chinese
yeah.
mathematician?
But fuck it too.
yeah, I can understand. It's like a lot of math. Like the way it's presented though is like they don't like give you an explanation. They're just like, you just need to do this. This is wrong. It's like either right or it's wrong. And there's
Because
not
most
like an
people are SJs.
Yeah, and there's not this like, oh, there's a fundamental structure in play here, and the reason why people indicate this is because this is important in these contexts, and it's good to get like in this habit. Like that would be something that would maybe be more acceptable than just like you have to do this, sorry, you lose points. Like this is your incentive to not do that is points. Like that's dumb, you know. It doesn't motivate a majority of people that I've come across, like especially when you're a kid and you like first hear about it. Like even if you're, an SJ, I feel you're still kind of a little bit like, I mean, I can't speak for them, but there's an element of that, but they accept it and quicker,
Yep.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they just mindless drones absorb, regurgitate, but I doubt that.
No, it's just their understanding is like through the data.
Yeah, and a lot of them are. I've noticed they're very language oriented. So like they associate things with words more so than like objects. That they imagine. Like it's not like spatial often. It's like language based or like chart based. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like something like that.
You gotta have, yeah. There's got to be some visual element. Like you can't trust in the intuitive thing without having something to represent it.
Yeah. You have to like hold an object in your head. Like for me, like even when I'm thinking about like a plan or something, like it's visualized as this like weird quasi like network structure kind of that like I can't explain. Like even like abstract ideas, that's kind of like how everything is structured in my brain. I guess.
Do you have any INTP professors?
Do I? Probably a few. The ones that I have a physics professor that is.
Yeah.
I have
I have a physics advisor that is. We have the best. Like, yeah. I was like, I'm thinking about dropping out. And he's like, whatever.
He's like, I feel you, man. Like,
he was like, whatever. That was the first time, and then the second time, like, what's different about this time? And I'm like, not much. And he's like, whatever.
Yeah, I found that older guy I was telling you about in the chemistry department. I'm pretty sure he is, but he's like so well developed, and he's like really really like intelligent. So I know he's like worked on certain things.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is that like I go into his office and I'm like, yeah.
You just know.
Yeah. But he's a rare breed among the chemists, honestly. Yeah. Really rare breed. Physicists are much more likely because the physicists, they care about like the deeper systems and stuff. Also, math. Like a lot of, I think the math people are INTPs. Yeah. Math professors
and philosophers.
Philosophy. Yeah, I have a philosophy professor that I think is an INTP.
Damn, he teaches Kant nonstop. Everything he teaches is Kant.
This guy really likes Nietzsche, and he's also like a logician. So he I don't know what it is about that for him, but he always teaches like the Nietzsche class, and he's very. But I've never taken it with him, so I don't know like his personal interest in it.
Nietzsche's like something, probably INTJ, I think.
Maybe he's very.
He's kind of a god figure for INTPs, eh?
A little bit, I guess, but it's kind of because he's like
pure existentialism.
He's edgy on the surface a little bit, and that's like kind of attractive. It's like God is dead and we killed him, and like all this kind of stuff that like has this like deep double meanings and stuff. But there's a lot of NI in there, I think.
Yeah,
that is not necessarily like something I would expect from an INTP, I guess.
Nietzsche quote: "The future influences the present just as much as the past."
Why do you do all those head motions?
because it adds emphasis.
Without music, life would be a mistake. I don't know.
Yeah. Because he definitely is in like he's very symbolic. Like his books that he's written about thus spoke Zarathustra and all this kind of stuff. Like it's steeped in these like religious allegory. Like it's very very NI and like yeah. I don't know if that's just a consequence of his upbringing because it was like all that he had like a religious upbringing, which is part of like. His like reaction against it a little bit, but he learned to like later in life when he wrote all that stuff, like it was kind of in regret. It's like we've killed the concept of God, and like everyone's fucking depressed as hell. Like how do we resolve this conundrum? And we're still like no one really has like he didn't really come up like
You never will. If you did, you would be lying.
This whole idea of like the Uberman and all this kind of stuff. There might have been something to it, but the problem is like because after his death, like his sister took his works and like added to it, and then like it was appropriated into like Nazi ideology and stuff. Like those ideas have all been truncated because they become untenable in the public sphere just because of the associations. So it's like no matter what, anything associated with him is no longer like publicly viable because of fucking Hitler, I guess. So
Fucking Hitler, dude.
well, mainly I guess the person that's most responsible is his sister, who was like the Nazi sympathizer that figured that his works would be a good way to give like some kind of, if when modified, could provide some kind of ideological backing to the Nazi thing.
Hitler, a close second.
Yeah.
Oh, someone's typing. I'm gonna read whatever this next comment is, so you know, Neptune.
I'm not typing anymore.
Oh, dude, come on.
Yeah.
So good. Just trying, just watching. Yeah.
So, what types are you guys?
INTP.
ENTP.
Okay.
What about you?
INTP as well.
Are you Magnus?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can only find out by muting people when they're talking. It's kind of
There's two Magnuses, right?
There's a new ISFP Magnus.
ISFP.
Yeah, but this is the OG Magnus.
Exactly.
ISFPs are they're so intuitive in the way that they know the things that they know. Like intuitive people know things and then they question them. But ISFPs know stuff and they're like, yeah, just know that you'll enjoy that thing.
Well, third slot NI is probably pretty strong for them. And we've discussed that actually in here, how ISFP, which sensing type seems the most intuitive, and ISFP was the unanimous conclusion. That doesn't make it right, but you said ISTPs?
Yeah.
Yeah, same. That's the same slot though, isn't it, for NI?
Yeah. Honestly, all the SPs are pretty intuitive. I have some my ESCP friend is super, or I have two of them that are both super intuitive, but they'll never admit it. Sort of. They just understand things really quickly and get them really deeply, but then explain it in terms of things that are all surface level. And I'm like, but you get it. Level. You just don't trust it at all, or you don't want to talk about it.
You can tell with ISFPs and their sense of humor that they're really intuitive because it's so out there. I just don't see how it could be anything but intuitive. I don't know. Maybe that's nearsighted of me, but or not understanding it completely. The function.
What type do you think is most likely to be a religious person in a leadership position?
Ooh.
Pastor or somebody that actually addresses the actually has to deal with the social side of the political aspect of it, but at the same time has to be understand all the relationships between
probably ENFJ. I'm gonna say
My pastor's I think is an ISTP.
I think it's anyone who's got something to say, sort of.
I want to say TFI.
It's totally
He
different.
could be an ISTJ though. I think he's an ISTP though.
For some reason, I could see ESTJ.
See, I wonder what it'd be interesting to look at personality types of the more Eastern kind of guru types versus the Western kind of leaders, which are much more.
Or not Gandhi's INFJ, but probably. but the Buddha was the ENTJ.
Like Siddhartha, you mean, or
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay, I could see that. I guess.
I mean,
it's hard to type someone that's been like so. It's all like.
Yeah, I don't know. I still don't know because my brother typed him. He's an ENTJ and he's pretty bad at typing people. But like Siddhartha did come up with like the 4 noble truths.
Right, sure.
Here's the outline system for what's true in the world, and it's like
and that's like something that like at this point like I would never feel comfortable being like this is the absolute truth.
Right.
Basis, right. That's like
Eric typed him as an ISFP.
Who did?
Eric.
Huh. I wouldn't put it out of the question, but
I mean kind of like the the guru who is kind of like takes one-on-one students and instead of like someone who is like leading a congregation, which is like a very different. I'd be interested to see like.
Well, Eastern thought's a lot different. In
and
general,
it's also just
like
like so many cultural differences too. Like it would probably like confuse things.
Like
Dalai Lama is ISTP, which is funny to me.
Well, that's something that it's like you don't get gravitated towards that role. It's kind of like you're picked from it and then like groomed.
Yeah.
I wonder how that changes the personality of the person too.
What
does? It's like oh, you're the chosen one. Like, does that affect their personality? Like, obviously.
Right. Quotes as the things that he says, like compassion being happiness. It's like, dude, that's only true of you, but you're saying it like it's a universal truth. I mean, not only true of you. It's only true of people with like FE as an inferior functions. It's like working for like great. Like I saw my INTP friend post that on Facebook, and I was like, so many people are gonna feel bad about themselves because of this. But like, it's so true for you. So like, I can't say anything.
Mm.
I don't know. It's tricky when you have people saying things because like there's the personal truth and then there's the objective truth, which I'm sure you're much more well versed in than I am. But
that's what I was like talking about like earlier when I came in like around noon or whatever. We talked. Were you here for that or did you?
I don't know what noon is there.
Oh, like well, it was just like the
ago.
first time I was on before I came back.
No, I've only been here 4 hours.
Yeah. We I talked about the nature of like so the funny thing about objective reality is like you talk about like objects and subjects. So like subject is something that is like formless. It's like an idea. It encompasses like everything that it is, but the object is like the simplified version that we've imagined that like describes it. So like it's like the model of the sun or like the description of the sun rather than the actual sun itself. That's like the object.
Mm-hmm.
So then you extrapolate that to objective reality, and that's like the collection of these objects that people agree upon with a certain amount of like within a community, right? And that's what people mean typically when they say objective reality. But the thing is that people start to get confused and they start to think, oh, objective reality is the absolute truth, when really objective reality is the thing that everyone invented. Yeah. Objective reality is the thing that's not real.
Dude, I find it very interesting is like in any dominant, I'm just sort of like always on the edge of reality, whatever that is.
Yeah.
I asked my ISFP friend what symbolism was. He's like, it's substance where there was an absence or something along those lines. Like it's something where there was nothing. And I'm like, what do you mean there was nothing? Like there's always something everywhere. It doesn't have to be manifested in like this physical way.
Well, some people make the argument that, that like, if that kind of everything is occurring, like until it's like the debate in like quantum mechanics, but it happens like elsewhere. It's like, are all the states that you don't, because you're not observing it, right? There's all these probabilities of where things could be, or it's like you're not in the woods, right? But like earlier when you were there, you saw some like old trees. So like the likelihood that one of them fell is pretty high, but you don't know for sure. It's kind of like, so some people take the point of view that it's like, oh, every possible state exists. And then like, but we can only like process like one of those, and that's like the reality that we observe, I guess. Like, and then there's other people that are just like, well, it's just like probability is just a way of managing that, and there's only like one trajectory. But the thing is that I don't think there's any way to like actually like test that I know of. So it's like a matter of like what view makes you like feel better. You know, it's kind of one of those things. And I don't know if it necessarily has to be either of those. You know, I take this more like pluralistic view that there's like, you know, an infinite amount of truths and like every little aspect of something, you know, however you define it, like any individual, however, you know, whether the individual is me or like a rock or like, you know, a society or like, you know, a planet or whatever it is going to have this kind of I'm starting to lose my train of thought a little bit. Yeah, that they have their own perspective, and then that's like their subjective reality. But the thing is that you have to let go of the idea under this, you know, premise. You have to let go of the idea that there's one universal truth, and instead you have to accept the view that there are many, many, many truths, and you can only experiment. You can only like experience like your own, you know, and you can hear from like other people, but it's all like through that filter. Like you just have to accept the fact that there are many truths.
There are no perspectives, only truths. That's a Ginsburg quote.
Interesting.
Or there are no truths, only perspectives. That's what I mean.
Yeah. It's
that'd be such a fun world to live in if there were only truths.
But that's kind of the idea that I've been floating with that seems to be the most consistent to me. Like with you know, because it's like you can either take that view or you can take the view that anyone that has a different view than you is just fundamentally wrong.
Right.
Or you can take the view that seems like the demonstrably true thing is that the very fact that people exist that have different worldviews than you and different truths proves my point, is what I'm trying to say. It's like the very fact that those points of view exist, like who are you to say that they don't exist now? Because you just like have decided that they don't exist, right? That doesn't make any sense. Or that there's somehow this like fantasy, like in a fragment of the reality that you know, which is truth. And then their little fragment is just like some perversion of it. Like, how could that possibly be true? You know? I don't know. That's kind of the place I'm at right now. But
that's fine. Sure. I dig it. It's a lot like, you know, Leibniz's philosophy at all?
Not much. Like it's not really.
And it's a pretty similar thing. I think it's him that everything has a perspective. Every object has a perspective.
Oh well, that's kind of like a fundamental idea about like points of reference, right?
Like
rock. Like pretty basic, like in like a mathematical and like physics point of view. It's like, what's your, you know, inertial frame of reference? Like, what's your, you know, point of thing? But the thing is that like, it's that concept, but it's in this really like restrictive, controlled environment to model specific things, you know. So it's not as general, but it's that same kind of idea, which, you know, it really influenced like calculus and led the way to like, you know, relativity and all that kind of stuff too. Later on, yeah. You know, because it was like to take that next step that you had like inertial reference frames, or, you know, but the thing, you know, physics is starting to explore ideas like this multiverse kind of stuff and like trying to figure out ways to make it work, which is like, you know, but those are just labels for like formulaic like model systems, right? It's hard to like, which is fundamentally different from like the concept I just described is like such a high like level of abstraction from like a logic point of view that you like, it's not something that you can like get from those base principles that would be accepted within science, right? Obviously, it's like a.
That's the problem, right? That's why that's why I just gave up on science. Essentially, I was like, this isn't the stuff I want to be discussing. I want to be discussing the ideas that then get put into systems, which is why I believe in science, but also why I'm too distracted to do it.
Well, and I think, then there's also this obsession with like, I often complain about logical positivism, or, you know, the assertion that the truth that is valuable or viable is that, collected and determined by empirical evidence, which to say that that's the only valid source of information, I think is faulty, right? Because there's problems with, things like that. And and obviously there's like other forms of truth by the very fact, like demonstrably so, because other people do just fine without being logical positivists. Of course, that can't be the case, right? But they would disagree, probably. Get Richard Dawkins in here, and he'll, he's very clever about shutting people down, even though he didn't really debate them in a fair way.
Hey, what's up?
Not much. I was responding to a chat question.
Whoa. Can you explain on that, Magnus? But not the second part. I don't really want more details.
The thing I just wrote?
Subjective experience suggests that there probably is an objective world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, can you explain that?
Yeah, so...
He's like, exactly.
Exactly. That's what I said, yeah.
Well, what I mean is that, like, we all experience the same, for example, gravity, which is something everybody experiences probably. So when every subjective experience is the same as everybody else's, it becomes objective in some way, I guess.
Right. So that from my point of view, like I the way I incorporate that concept is to say, like, if everyone, the subject, if everyone like is experiencing something and they come to some sort of consensus about the objects that they've invented to describe the subject, right? And if they're like, we all agree that this is a good object, and there's like consensus, then that's how you get something like gravity, which is like specifically defined, right? But they had to get to, consensus. Like, it could have easily been defined as like some kind of weird, like as a pushing force rather than like a pulling force, and it could have all been just as viable and like switched everything around with the math and stuff. But they had to make a decision, and they agreed upon gravity being an attractive force rather than like everything else pushing away, to lead to the same result mathematically. You see what I mean? Like, so there's this kind of like this sense of like you have to agree on things that seem kind of arbitrary, but end up making like a difference because you have to like make this choice about it. So like, so you're all experiencing the same subject, but there's like, you could have different objects to describe that thing. But the thing about like a community of people that get together and form consensus, right? That forms what we consider to be kind of like objective reality these days. When people say, "Oh, this is objective reality," right? It's the result of that synthesis and consensus among many people. So that's how I would take that. That's how I incorporate what you've said into the way I'm thinking about it.
So in a way, if like this subjective experiences becomes the objective, then nothing is objective.
Right. That's the paradox about objective reality, is that objects are fundamentally invented things to comprehend the subject, which is fundamentally incomprehensible because of all the infinite complexities of it. Right. It's like a fractal or something like that. You can't comprehend the whole object, but you can create like a simplification that's like finite, and lets you like deal with it and comprehend it as a human kind of. Right, because you have this like the realm of the subconscious like has a sense of something that's like more than what you can define as like an object, but that's like the realm in which like that's all this area, the frontal lobe stuff is like this realm of like objects and structures and things, and that is what the combination of those and the consensus, that's objective reality. So it's an entirely invented thing to discuss the subject of our existence.
Hmm.
Yeah. Which is kind of like a little bit disturbing at first. When I first heard that, I was kind of like, okay, you know, it's because like that's no one ever really the sense among like everybody. It seems like when you're just like being educated in general is that like there are facts, you know, and there's like this one universal truth seems to be like, you know, that also comes from the fact that I think, you know, Abrahamic religion has influenced like our society so much with like universal truths and stuff too, you know.
Yeah,
So,
I guess we kind of have to believe in some, like, let's call it an illusion in some way, in order to, I guess, live a life. Like, we have to believe in it, or
right.
we choose to believe in it, I guess, as humans, in order to, yeah, I guess, not feel like
Yeah,
shit.
using objects to finally get to the point where your intuition can understand the subject. That's like what like a hermeticist would call like lifting the veil, right? That's where that phrase comes from, right? It's like where suddenly like things are revealed, and you understand what that thing is, but you like navigated it through like this realm of like objects, and ended up understanding the subject through finally having it kind of click in your intuition, right? And then you finally understand it, but you can't express that whole idea, but you could try by like trying to give people the objects that led you to that conclusion.
Which,
right?
So in some way, like,
And this is what like really good teachers do, right? Really good teachers are able to like figure out like what objects you need to have in your brain to like allow yourself to have the environment that you like make the intuitive leap and understand it, you know, like deeply on an intuitive level, not just like on a superficial, like I memorized this level, you know.
I'm just thinking regarding MBTI, you know, because it's the same thing. We all, like, this guy invented this system, but we, like, the reason we, I guess I'm going to use the word believe in it, is because it makes sense, like, correlation to what we experience ourselves.
It's predictive. This is the thing about models, is that the only thing that like the only what's the word I want to use, like the only like the factor which determines like the survivorship bias of an idea, like a theory, is like whether or not it's predictive, right? And nothing else, right? So even like scientific theories, right? It's only all you can really know through like comparing it to experimental evidence over and over and over again is that your model is predictive. You could never know that it was like the truth, right? It just means that the way you've like the system you've set up like reliably gets you a result that is predictive, right? And so Myers-Briggs has power to people because to a certain degree allows you to predict how someone will act in a given scenario. And that's why people consider it to be valuable. But it might not. Like it. But like, I don't think you could take the point like just because it's predictive that therefore it explains the fundamental like understanding of like how people think. It's just like it's a model that's predictive enough to be useful.
Yeah.
I've seen the interviews that I met him before. But I don't know if you listen to the lyrics, I guess is what I'm going by. Also, because that's probably a more accurate version.
I actually never thought about models being predictive, but in a way you're right. Every model is trying to is predictive in some way, like gravity.
Yeah, and like to a high degree. The reason like quantum mechanics is like so successful is opposite, even though like most people
from the game participants and by far most linear family break strike pattern strike break defense. When you get so quiet and depressed, hidden, I jump away again. Can't understand, I wanna die again.
There are elegant.
I'm out here in the swell, getting fucked up, trying to cure you. It's so draining. Really, how can I help if you are
fuglekongen som letter fra ørn når hun trykker seg høgst. Jeg har òg sett
It's like the whole
right-click and then open your new tab or window, and then somebody can watch it on their own time without everyone watching it together.
Oh, I see. There's no way to like adjust the volume in here.
Well, you just exit it. Exit the video.
I know. I was just saying, like, I was hoping it was better.
Oh no. But what's the quick watch video?
Oh. Just
Is he the second ENTP to fall asleep on screen? Almost. That's an impressive amount of stone.
I'm gonna have to go to bed soon. I was up pretty early, but this has been interesting talks for sure.
Are you a member of the Facebook?
I think Zach maybe can't hear any of us.
Well, let's let him rest.
Oh.
Haley responds to Yale's voice.
Barnes interviews. One more time. Send it back.
No, just saying that they should leave you alone so that you can rest if you need to.
Well, fuck.
We were trying to get you to respond, but you couldn't hear us.
What was the question? I could hear you, but I wasn't.
The question was, hey, are you awake? Hey, are you alive? Hey, blink twice if you're having an overdose. And and then I said, let him rest, and you woke up.
That's not a question.
It was not. You're right. That's correct.
All right.
It was a statement.
Subjective, bro.
Anyway, I was also saying that
What is the question?
I need to get off of this and go to bed.
Well, you can. We